Hi, I'm Louisa Sijabat, a liquidator and bankruptcy trustee. So today's question is, what happens to my tax returns in the year that I declare bankruptcy? Particularly, what happens if I'm owed a tax refund? Does that go to the bankrupt estate or does that go to me? Also, if I owe tax, is that wiped out by the bankruptcy or do I still have to pay it? These questions are particularly relevant for anyone declaring bankruptcy not on the 30th of June on that financial year. The reason for this is if that's the case, there will always be a partial financial year before bankruptcy and a partial financial year after bankruptcy. So, broadly speaking, this is generally what happens. Just say the person or you are expecting a tax refund for that financial year. Just say bankruptcy is declared, say, the end of March, so 31 March. So 3/4 of the way through the financial year, which ends on the 30th of June. Now, if the person's income, and hence the tax refund, is expected to be roughly equal throughout the year, such as if they earn a reasonably regular wage or salary, something of that sort, they will probably choose to lodge one tax return for that financial year. 3/4 of their refund will go to the bankrupt estate because that relates to the period before bankruptcy, and 1/4 of the refund will go to them. Now, if that person owes a tax debt, the ATO is allowed to offset the tax refund they would have otherwise received with a pre-bankruptcy debt. Now, this is quite unusual because creditors usually can't offset post-bankruptcy or after bankruptcy assets or amounts with pre-bankruptcy amounts, but in the ATO's case, they are permitted to do that. Now, if the person thought they might owe tax for that year, generally it's 2 tax returns that are lodged for that one financial year. So one tax return would be 1 July until 31 March, and the second tax return would be 1 April to 30 June, assuming in the same scenario that bankruptcy is on the 31st of March. Now, any tax owed up to and including the date of bankruptcy would be wiped out by the bankruptcy. The ATO would be a creditor in the bankrupt estate. They would be entitled to lodge a claim as well in that bankrupt estate for the amount of tax and other amounts owed. For the tax payable from the 1st of April, so after the date of bankruptcy, through to 30th of June, the person is still liable to pay that. Now, in some cases, with a tax refund, the person might argue that their income wasn't evenly earned through the year. In that scenario, there may also be the decision to lodge 2 tax returns for that financial year, one for the period up to the date of bankruptcy and one from the date of bankruptcy to the end of the financial year.